From KPBS and PRX, this is Port of Entry,
where we tell cross-border stories that connect us.
I'm Alan Lilienthal.
And I'm Natali Gonzalez.
Hola, friends. Welcome to another bonus episode. Nat, we are officially done with our first season with Julio and Luca as our new producers, and as of now, we are in a hiatus stage.
Yes! And with us in the cabin is Julio and Luca. They are here to look back into their debut season and talk about their upbringing and some life stories.
Let me just start by clarifying something real quick, guys. Yes, originally this episode was going to be the Meet the Producers episode, which was going to launch the season, but we kind of felt like we should just start with the stories and then maybe move this to the back. So here we are. So, guys, let's get started.
So, guys, I'm curious, what's been your favorite episode of the season so far? Who wants to go first? Don't fight for it.
Because I'm still thinking.
Yeah, go Julio.
I guess I actually given some thought to this. And my favorite episode not to produce, but just as a final product, I think definitely has to be episode 5 with Ruby and
Pura
Javier.
Vida? Oh, I was going to say the same one.
Pura Vida is just something about, to me, like old folk story and growing up and the lessons in life. It just strikes me like really like a life lesson, I guess. And so as a final product itself, it's just, I think the messages about them and their life and the lessons learned and all that, it's just, I guess, it just sounds so well. And obviously it has a lot to do with Luca and our wonderful hosts who are super talented. But yes.
They were so nice, Natali, right?
They were so nice.
They invited
us. Is that your favorite
us.
episode too, Luca?
I mean, I had another one in mind, but they were so nice. They invited us to have some coffee at their house.
Yes, and remember the Costa Rican cookies?
Yeah.
Those were very good.
Yeah.
That's my favorite episode.
So, Luca, what is your favorite episode?
My favorite one, I would say maybe Exe episode. I think it was episode 3, I guess.
Episode 3.
So yeah, I really connect with his lifestyle, with his story. I mean, in Ecuador, we also have like all of these problems with money. And I mean, his lifestyle, like not having water in his property and that stuff. I grew up also as him. So I connected a lot with his story. Yeah, okay. So I really liked it. Yeah.
That's a good episode.
What about you, Nat?
I think, now I'm thinking.
También Pura Vida?
Now that Luca mentioned Exe, I mean, I'm going to say first Pura Vida because, I mean, it was beautiful spending the day with Ruby and Javier and driving all around the city, like buying groceries and stuff. But Ex's family was so welcoming too, and like we had dinner with them.
That's right.
And like we met the whole family and their dogs and everything, and I just felt like they were my uncles and my uncle and my aunt, you know, like, I don't know. So I'm just going to say Pura Vida and Exes.
Yes. I mean, Ex's family were so gracious hosting us and the empanadas they made. And
especially the empanadas, Julio, right?
It felt like I didn't feel like I was working at all. Like it felt like honestly, like at all, working with Port of Entry doesn't feel like work. But
don't say that. It is really.
It is work, but it felt like just like a family meeting, you know. Like
especially when there's food involved, it's just
absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, let me just mention like Pura Vida with Ruby and Javier. It felt like family too. Remember when we were outside eating a tamal?
Yeah,
and we were
was
just
so.
It was just like we didn't care about recording anymore. We were just like talking with Ruby and eating a tamal with a lot of cheese and
buying some stuff at the mercado, and it was so nice.
Yeah, that was
it was
nice.
Beautiful.
So I think we're talking about the producing journey, but about the final episode. What struck you as maybe the best episode, Alan?
You know, I'm kind of going as a final product again, nothing to do with the making of it. Taking into account like Luca's amazing sound skills and the writing. I think my favorites are, I was going to say somewhere between Alex, but the winner to me is Moomin's.
That's a good one.
And I'll say that because maybe it's just a personal thing, I really resonate with stories of redemption. I really like hearing people's like second chances at life. When someone goes through a really dark period and somehow ends up in a better version of that later in life, like a refined version of their dream. I love that. It gives me a lot of hope for, you know, anyone who chases any kind of dream, and we all go through really dark periods. So hearing people that are like really go through it and somehow end up better. And if you go to Moomin's restaurant, it's like, whoa, dude, this guy he like struck the jackpot.
Dude.
Like you cannot find a better location for that kind of restaurant and the food and the vibe.
It's
like
amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
Moomin's episode was great too. Yeah. Recording that episode was great too.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And the food is...
Which leads us to the next question. What was your favorite episode to produce?
Oh.
I gotta give just a little note for the listeners. Unfortunately, I have a different full-time job, so this season is the only season I barely participated, and it made me very sad because I just keep hearing stories of all the incredible food you guys got served and and shared, and all the memories you shared, and it's too bad, but
we always miss you, Alan.
Yeah.
So folks, for those that are listening, Alan wasn't necessarily there, but he was there in spirit. So
yeah, I was there.
We did a little bit of a, sleight of hand.
My mouth was watering from afar.
What was our favorite episode to produce?
Luca, what was your favorite?
I would say Moment.
Moment?
I mean, the travel, going to Valle de Guadalupe, it was my first time going there, so it was special.
Oh, that was your first time in Valle ever?
In Valle ever,
wow.
Yeah. So that was amazing. His restaurant is amazing. The location is awesome, and the food is incredible. I mean, I enjoyed a lot.
He was so nice with us.
Yeah, he was like so
nice.
kind and so a lot of jokes and good times.
He is quite the showman. Has a big charismatic personality and very welcoming. And obviously, it's just the traveling itself made it just worth it. I mean, for both Exe and his episode was make it so. I mean, worth the whole. I mean, producing and all that.
And we bonded a lot, like, because when we recorded those episodes, like, you were barely starting to work with us, and Luca too. So we bonded a lot, driving to Ensenada.
Yeah,
and, talking
listening
about
to
life,
music.
listening to music. Blah, blah. That was beautiful. Damn, Alan, I'm sorry you weren't there.
Yeah, me too.
But through the magic of producing, he was there, right?
You were
there. Yeah, it was. Got to imagine all the delicious plates.
So I guess also Moments was your favorite. What was your favorite
to produce?
To produce in the producing.
I'm still gonna go with Pura Vida with Javier and Ruby because that was beautiful. That was a beautiful.
That was
episode.
magical. Yeah.
So I met Moomin. I met him through Exe. As I told him, I'm looking for folks who migrated, who moved here. Any leads? Yeah, of course I know there's a Moroccan guy. Okay, cool. But through how I met Ruby and Javier, it's just me just being a glutton, going around and trying to find new spots to eat. And I just kept going every day to eat a pupusa. And so it was so hard not to eat more than one.
Sounds like you have a really hard job.
Yeah, I mean, I love this job. I mean, it is work. It gets to be work. But I mean, like Natali said, it's just these sorts of things, the stories and breaking bread with folks from other parts of the world and the stories they share, it just becomes like a gift in itself. And so, yes, absolutely, Javier and Ruby were just wonderful and so full of life, even though they've been chewed out through their life, a bit. And so they don't give up. And so it inspires you to put things into perspective, basically. It's just whatever you're going on, whatever's going on in your life, is just there's always a moment, no matter how old you are, to just keep going and maybe restarting. So they took on this project of Pura Vida, of cooking. They've been cooking all their life, of course, but just to restarting in Tijuana at their mid-60s and pushing forward. And they're super happy in TJ. Super happy in TJ. So yeah, definitely, it's me. I'm stuck between both producing Moments episode and definitely Ruby's episode. But yeah, but they all had their different jewels. But these guys, these two, they were just completely full of life and always very, very happy. I mean, so it was overwhelming how gracious they were, both Moomin and Ruby and Javier, with their life stories and everything. Anyways, not to say that the others weren't, but it's just these stood out.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question, I guess. So, what was the most challenging episode to produce? Natali, you're nodding. Like, it feels like you already have an answer.
You already know the answer.
Yeah, I already know the answer. Yeah, Lavadi for sure.
Really?
That was wait, were you thinking something else?
No, go ahead.
No, it was Lavadi for sure. Because first it was I think it was the first time I sat down with someone from the Haitian community, and they've been here. They've been in Tijuana for like 6-7 years, and it was the first time like I sat down to talk with one of them, and it was challenging because I could feel Elena's I could feel how uncomfortable she was talking about her journey. And I didn't want to keep asking, but I also felt like I needed to keep asking and just like talk with her more. But she was like so uncomfortable, and like I could sense her energy. And it was so hard for me to listen to her story, and then talking about her children and knowing that she's still like waiting for her children to arrive. And that was that was a very difficult episode. But it was also beautiful because I got to know this whole community in like a different perspective, and to try their food and understand their struggles and stuff. So, yeah, I think it was Labadee. For sure.
Luca.
I mean, for me the same. Even though I was not in tracking those, I mean, in taping those questions and in those interviews, but it was difficult for me, like the technical part of it, because I was not recording that. I was not there. I was not. I mean, it was difficult for me to imagine how the place is, how where's the restaurant. So that was kind of difficult for me, like to, in a way, like to draw an image of what the listeners have to listen and to feel, actually, in that episode. So that was kind of challenging for me in the technical part of producing. Yeah.
What about you, Julio?
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I have two for two different reasons. So definitely Labadee, because not the most, just stepping into the leadership role as a producing and trying to inspire everybody to give their best and everything, especially when you walk into a leadership position that wasn't filled in for quite some time. And so, and as to what to know, what to expect from the folks that you're working with, and if you're doubting yourself, if you're doing a good job or not. And so, well, stepping into that role and writing for the program itself, that was one. But hosting has been, wow, guys.
I'm so glad we're talking about this.
And so it has, as some of you are well aware, I hosted the last story of the season, and it was quite laborious, to say the least, to put it in the best way. And poor Luca, he stuck with me, because it took me it takes Natali and Alan about just a couple hours to be able to track a whole episode. It took me 6 hours to track a single episode.
Wait, what?
Wow.
6 hours.
I didn't know that.
And then I had to edit that.
Yeah,
you know?
and so not just that, edit out some of the mistakes for some of the parts that listen.
Why would it take you 6 hours?
Because I overthink things. 1, 2, I guess I was nervous, and I have a natural stutter, and so it came out a lot, both in English and Spanish, and so it was an extra challenge just to do that. And so Luca, my hero, yeah, both in Spanish and English. It was,
How do you understand?
6 hours in English and about 2 and 3 hours in Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, so definitely, it's just hosting and the story is. I always sucked at reading over in school. I hated it, and popcorn reading. You remember that? It's just reading, and that's
Popcorn,
Julio. Oh shoot!
I mean, it was still fun, but we also admire you guys.
Oh yeah,
a lot because of what you do.
High five.
I mean, yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Don't leave me hanging there.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, man.
That's right.
Also, let me just say, Berlin 89, to record Berlin 89 the script, read the script out loud, that was very challenging for me, because I think it was like the first script that you wrote, Julio, complete script, and it was like you used so many difficult words, and it was just so challenging.
And talking about Bitcoin and
talking about cryptocurrency,
yeah.
blah, 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 and
hedging,
a lot of
leverage.
difficult words, like what was the mural sketch? Wait, what was the word?
Sketchy murals.
Like a lot of words like I've never used in my entire life, and that was so difficult for me.
Okay.
Look at us. Everyone did great. The season's over.
Yes.
And what a great season.
Yeah, it was an amazing season.
Yeah. Actually, now is a good time to go for a break. So why don't we go for a break, Luca?
Yeah.
Hit us up with the beat.
Yeah.
Now on The Finest. In San Diego and beyond, Our Lady of Guadalupe has morphed in meaning and form over the past 500 years.
She can be a source of comfort. She can be a source of pain. Her power comes because she has all of these different facets to her.
Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. Bonus episode for folks. We're here with Alan, Natali, and Luca having a conversation about the season. So,
what did we learn though from this? Did we learn some things? I learned some things.
What was your takeaway for the season, guys?
I love food.
I love food. I love eating.
I love talking about food, thinking about food, writing about food, eating food.
My dream of becoming Anthony Bourdain.
I think, I mean, for me, I mean, obviously this region that we live in the border region is a very potent mix of cultures and creativity. But I think, especially with food, it's not so much a new takeaway, but it's almost like a deepening of something that I already knew and a reminder of how food is the greatest. I tend to say music is a universal language, but really food is the most universal unifier of people. And I think I'm always reminded when talking or diving into food stories, how it really belongs to everyone. We tend to think of things as like so separate, right? But like food reminds us that like
how we're connected, right?
How connected we are. Like al pastor in Mexico is like came from Lebanon, el trompo, or like all these things that you think are from one place really had its origins. Like the currywurst of Alec. I always thought that was a German thing. Obviously, the word curry, I'm like, I don't know where they got that from, but like the currywurst, but it really came from India. And all these flavors like that we think are from one place, it just shows you how connected humans are and how cross-pollinated we are. And I think that's important to remember because there's always these conversations about, cultural appropriation and like what belongs to whom. And I think food reminds us that it's, at the end of the day, with respect and intention, like it really belongs to the human race.
Yeah, I kind of resonate with that. It's just I always struggled, especially being such a lover of food. I always push back to folks when the conversations about cultural appropriation were tabled, because being from Tijuana,
right, especially Tijuana,
I'm like.
It's like tacos with Korean mushrooms.
Yeah. So somebody said they said, it's just, how can you call Taco Bell tacos? I mean, I wouldn't say call them tacos, but they're good. I mean, have you seen what we do to sushi?
Yeah,
cream cheese.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
but it's delicious.
But it's delicious, though. But I wouldn't call it sushi. But it's delicious. And so Tijuana and this region lends itself to the experiment of new ways of putting things together. And so that's the magic of just daring to take risks, and maybe pushing back up against the naysayers, I guess. Even though there are some valid points. I mean, we need to respect the tradition and we have to understand it, of course. But I mean, always take those risks. Ala, Natali, what's your biggest takeaway of the season?
Biggest takeaway?
I already said mine.
Yeah. No, sorry, Luca and Natali, sorry.
I mean, for me, it's kind of the same as Alan said, to feel connected in a way with everyone, like with each person in each episode. I think I share a lot of experiences and little things that I connect with. So for example, Excel, like his lifestyle. This last episode, he talking about his son and how he misses his son, and I don't know. And there are so many things that I share with each person in each episode. So I really think that.
Yeah, for the folks who are listening, is that Luca is a recent father of a 10 months, and so the last story struck hard because it was about Yerno, who had to leave his family behind.
So I mean,
he left his young son back in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, so I really connect with all the stories in a way. So that's nice. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway is, I mean, I already knew this, but I got to confirm it, how incredibly generous Tijuana and like the whole region of Baja is, because it keeps receiving migrants from all over the world, and it's not just giving them like a bed and a hot shower, like it's giving them a whole new home for them to create a new life. And I think that was my biggest takeaway. Like I just fell in love. Like I'm already in love with TJ, but like I just got to I'm just more grateful that I'm from TJ now after this season.
TJ is amazing. Just let me say that because it was my first time crossing to TJ, and when we went to record Alec, Berlin '89, and it was so beautiful, and it reminded me a lot of home. So yeah, TJ is amazing and has a lot of beautiful stories that we are sharing with more and more people here, and that's good.
Okay, so my biggest takeaway is actually finding a second family with you guys.
Aww.
And I don't mean to be sappy or
Let's
whatever.
take it there.
It's just
Julio doesn't go sappy often. I love this.
and so it's just I've worked with many teams, and none of those teams has made me as happy as working with you guys. Because even though it gets frustrating a bit sometimes,
You're telling us.
No, I'm like,
even though there
when
might
you look
be,
in the mirror.
I haven't had the privilege to be in such a team that fulfills me to the core. And I mean that with your talent, with your gifts, with your personalities, it has been a blessing. I mean, leading you guys through the season. And I want to thank you guys for trusting me. And I'm sorry for the moments of tension that were there as we were producing, because there were a bunch. And I love you guys. I love you, and it makes me so happy to be here with you guys and do this.
I love you too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that said, Luca, with that in mind, it also completely breaks me to have to share this news. And why don't we have them listen to what happened?
Hey guys, I have some news for you.
What happened?
Well, it's a bit sad to say, but
Oh my God, what?
Luca, you're scaring us?
I just talked to Lisa, our supervisor, and already told her that I'm leaving.
What?
I'm moving to New York with my wife. She's studying a PhD, so we're moving on in June to New York. So
You started.
You started, dude.
The team is just getting going.
yeah, I know. Sorry about that.
We've been doing it live.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. Hey, man. Yeah, I mean,
There's
sorry
no
about that.
PhDs here.
No!
This is our very last option, to be honest. Our first option was to stay here in San Diego.
Divorce her and marry me now!
Maybe Alan can.
I'm prettier now.
Alan is prettier.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
We're getting off topic.
He's saying that later.
I know I'm beautiful, but we want Luca to stay.
Okay, Luca, can you marry either me or Alan or both or whatever? Doesn't matter.
There's also Natali.
No.
I don't think so.
She's taken.
I don't think so. Sorry. I'm already married, but yeah.
Fine. Leave
Whatever.
us. We don't need you.
You made her cry, Luca.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
We're gonna miss you, Luca.
I'm gonna miss you a lot.
So, Luca, we just heard you breaking the news to us that you are leaving us.
And sorry, guys. Yeah.
Hurts just
Bad
like the
news.
last time, like the
Bad
first time. It
news.
feels like the first time.
So, folks, yeah, Luca is obviously he's married and he has a child, and his wife was accepted to a PhD program in Cornell for public policy. Yeah. So, congratulations to Dayanira?
Daira.
Daira.
Yeah.
Damn, Diana,
And-
you go, girl.
Yeah. Good job.
Well, we did try to convince him to divorce her, but
But he didn't want
he
to.
didn't want to.
he was being difficult.
Selfish.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
And so will be working still with us, but just
Yeah.
remotely.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
but it will be, I mean, I'm the one that works closest with you out of all the stations.
Yeah.
Or
And so he'll be relieved not to have me physically next to him, but I will miss him dearly. Having physically here, but we'll still be connected, and so we'll be happy as his is moving on to the next stage of his life.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a hard decision to make, to be honest. But anyways, I mean, life happens, and I have to take a decision, and that was the best one that I could. So yeah, sorry for the bad news, guys, but I love you all, and I'll keep working hard for this project that has given me this amazing experience of telling other people's stories. So that's important for me. So thank you for allowing me to enter to the family, the Port of Entry family. Thank you.
Let me just say this. I will remember. Oh my God. I don't think we can. So I'm just gonna say it. I will remember you. Will you remember me? That's it.
So,
Port of Entry is going bi-coastal.
Bi-coastal, yes, we are.
Right. Bi-national and bi-coastal.
That's right. So, yes, it will be sad. But, Luca, before you go, why don't we get to know each other a bit more? So, why don't we segue into maybe some of the questions? So,
Yeah, we've done a whole season together, and I don't even know you guys.
Yeah.
Who are you?
So,
Okay, guys. So why don't we talk about your childhoods? What about, okay, Luca, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure.
Talk to us about growing up in Ecuador.
Well, Ecuador, yeah, for those who don't know, Ecuador is in South America. It's a small country, a beautiful one, full of problems, a lot of poor people, a lot of, in general, problems, basically, of all kind. But a beautiful one. I grew up in my mom's house that has a lot of green in his house, a lot of trees, a lot of birds. So that's why I was saying that I connected a lot with X's story, that like the rural. I grew up in a rural town, basically. So yeah, I remember a lot, like running a lot, digging holes, planting, having my own fruits, my own veggies. It was amazing. So yeah, I miss my mom's house so much that I have a tattoo of my mom's house in my arm.
really? Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to ask where.
I can show you. I can
see
show
it
you.
from
Yeah,
here.
I can show you. So yeah, it's a special place for me, and I really love and miss that place a lot. I hope I can go back soon. Yeah, this year. Yeah.
Take us with you.
Let's go.
Let's have a reunion.
Let's make an Ecuador.
Oh, yes, Port
Yeah.
Country reunion.
That'd be nice.
From Ecuador, live.
What about
So, yeah.
you, Julio?
What about me?
Growing up in TJ.
Growing up in TJ. So
You grew up in TJ?
I grew up in TJ. I was born in LA. I grew up in TJ.
That is Chicano.
Well, it's a funny question, and I don't know. It's just because
That's a good answer.
Chicano means something to a lot of the folks north of the border.
Yeah, it's like such a distinct culture.
Yes, and so it's a hard one to answer.
Sure.
And so, would I be Chicano if I were living more over there? Yes, I guess so. But I mean, a Mexican American, yes. Mm-hmm. I guess the term that I resonate with the most is transborder, or transfronterizo, and so because most of my life I grew up crossing the border, and so that sort of in-between life is most definitely. So that's why I say, sort of hesitant to say I'm Chicano, because I have that sort of very, very significant of experience that, has shaped me in that sense. And so I grew up in Tijuana, in Colonia Otay, where we took the Russians to eat barbacoa. And actually, we have some footage when we went to eat barbacoa.
Oh, that was fun.
So why don't we roll it just a little bit?
Chacho de suelta
Pues,
barrio.
la barbacoa, chicos, guys, for everybody who's listening, la barbacoa es borrego, it's lamb. And it's braised in this traditional, ancestral way since, the first European contact. And so pretty much you dig a hole in the ground, you braise lamb, you cover it in maguey, you set it down and for a little bit in the hole with the hot coals, hot stones, whatnot, for about 12 hours, 14 hours. So Martinez is one of the guys who's been doing it. He has rancheries outside of Tijuana, owns a lot of livestock, and he goes around the city on tianguis and sells barbacoa. I remember the tacos here when they were half the price, but it's still worth it. Still worth it. So
It's happening all
he's,
around.
I mean, he's well known that for anybody who doesn't recognize, hands off, a little bit of a taste, little taquito. Did you like it, Lucas? A little teaser there.
Yeah. But that's so similar to Ecuador as well, you know.
Huh?
If you go to a small mercado, that's called, and you have food stands there, they will give you a little taste,
Nice.
so you can, yeah.
Oh,
Para que no se enfríe.
gracias. Natali's right now is snacking her big fat tacos, greasy tacos with cilantro, onions.
I will follow her, okay?
Exactly. So cilantro, a little bit of onions. Then we got
Some people, I mean, it
chipotle.
depends. Like,
Yeah.
mucha gente lo pone en orden distinto.
Sí. So chipotle right here. We got salsa roja, salsa verde.
Which is spicier.
Spicier?
Yeah.
Ahí está. This is better. This is milder, tastier. This is good for the soup. The chipotles are good for the soup.
I would say that green sauces are always like super light.
Ahí vienen los consomés, jefita.
Sí, ahorita vamos a...
Gracias. Oh, sí, a ver, para el
I feel
muchacho.
like maybe 3 tacos was too much.
Hey guys, so you just heard me, Luca, Natali, and Adrian in that case. We're eating barbacoa al Martinez. I took it.
Delicious.
It was delicious. It was. Alan was there in spirit.
I'm hungry.
He was telepathically there with us from his 9 to 5. So yeah, I grew up in that area, guys, in Otay, very, very close to Natali's neighborhood, which is the neighborhood, I guess, less than half a mile from mine. Otay sits on the mesa, and then Buena Vista is down the hill.
We even went to the same school.
We went to the same school.
Different generations, of
Different
course.
generations,
Like
yeah.
20 years difference.
No, come on.
Difference. Just kidding. Like a 20-year difference.
Jesus. See, I'm
You
the
went to school with your dad, right?
I think you went to school with my grandma, right?
Yes, I am the oldest here, and so I get picked on a little bit, being the wisest. And yeah, yes, that's where I grew up in Tijuana, and so yeah.
I'm curious, obviously, I grew up around the border, but my views on the border have shifted so much over time as I grow up and my own views and opinions evolve. I'm curious, do you remember what your thoughts and opinions of the border were when you were a kid?
Yeah. So growing up is that you saw, obviously, the white-centric, say, lifestyle. And so I remember seeing Saved by the Bell. And so it wanted to be Zach Morris, and that stuck with me, And so to the point that when I started high school in the U.S., I wanted to sound basically mainstream. I didn't want to have an accent. And yeah, so the reality of being south of the border kind of clashed with that self-perception. And so I remember asking myself, why aren't I like that? Why am I a little bit more browner? Why isn't my hair, I guess blonde and whatnot? And so those questions I remember having went through my, I guess, childhood years. But then as I was reading more, I became a little bit more political, philosophical minded. And so I started to resent the border. I started to, hate the reality of having to cross the border and why is that? And so I bought into this whole victim, mentality about they are oppressing us, they are doing this to us, which is, to an extent, it is very, very true. There is a political system that benefits from this, I guess, division, from the oppression of folks across the border. But then as I'm older, I become to accept that reality, not in the sense that it is as a political status, but more as a, say, spiritual, in a sense, as that sort of in-betweenness that I share with some folks, but coming and going, being binational, bicultural. And so my views have shifted throughout the years. And so now I've become more accepting of these, not of the political or social conditions that affect millions of people, thousands of people who cross the border, but most definitely of how it has impacted me. And I guess to an extent, I become more forgiving of the situations that rise around the border. But I guess I still oppose the political conditions that make it, in a sense. And so I'm not as frustrated. I'm not as, I guess, angsty, I guess. So my views have shifted.
And it's cool. That's a great answer. And it's cool to see what you do now with this, getting like the angst, the childhood or like the teenage angst is being channeled in productive ways, telling stories that
Absolutely.
at least in some small way open up the border to people. And, we might not be able to take down the border today physically, but through these stories that we tell, I really do think, it makes that border more fluid.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're here now talking about the border, Luca, and you're obviously here with us living in this great region, pero why did you leave Ecuador? Where did you go from Ecuador?
I mean, it was because we had an opportunity to come here and study. My wife wanted to study. I mean, UCSD offered a scholarship to her so we can come and she can study and I could work. So we decided to come and give it a try.
From Ecuador, you came straight to San Diego.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we arrived to LA, then we drove to Portland, Oregon, stayed there with my brother for 1 month, and then drive back to San Diego. It was a crazy road trip, but it was fun, and we ended up here. I mean, and it was crazy because it was my first time seeing the border like in real. I only saw it in the news or in photos or something like that, and to stand there in the U.S. side of the border was like, I don't know. I had kind of a conflict there because I was asking myself why the people in the TJ side cannot cross here and I have the privilege to be here. Why I am here and they are there? It was like I had a lot of questions and for me the border was kind of scary in a way because of all the paperwork that I needed to do to cross, to have my entry, to have my passport, my visa, another document that they always ask for. So it's kind of a hassle to cross the border for me, but it's still beautiful to know that in the other side you find beautiful people as you guys, that we are all kind of the same and shouldn't be a physical border. It's crazy to see that the border there is so crazy.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because it's to me it's just natural to see it because I grew up around it, and so it's like how it's normalized. It's like a scar.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I remember some time back thinking about how people who are from the borderlands have some sort of a Stockholm syndrome with the border, meaning that you fall in love with your captors, with the people who've kidnapped you.
Wow.
So and so
mind blowing.
And so because you become accepting of these conditions, so you don't push back, especially if you have certain privileges, like say, I do global entry across the border, I can move across, but I have cousins who cannot cross the border.
Yeah.
And so it plays very, very different. So it's funny because to get your perspective, it brings that sort of
crazy.
It brings that sort of insight and perspective to my life, and apparently to Natali as well.
Wow, makes sense. What do you miss about home, Luca?
Family, my mom, especially my mom. I have 2 little nephews there that I'm missing. Seeing them growing up, so it's difficult for me. My mom is getting older. My dad is getting older. I'm here. I have a 10-month-old baby that they don't know. So for me, it's like I really want to go to Ecuador as soon as possible. I mean, with all of this movement to New York and everything, is like you have to pay a lot of things. We don't have enough time or enough money to go there right away. So maybe we have to plan ahead and that stuff. So I think for me, that's I miss my mom a lot. And I know time passes, and you don't really know if you are going to be able to see them again. That's for me when I talk to my mom, I always say hey, I love you so much. I love you so much. I always repeat her 30 times I love you so much because I really want her to know that and that I miss her a lot. Yeah.
How old are your parents, Luca?
My mom is 60. 8.
Okay.
My dad is 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all go to Ecuador. Let's go and let's continue filming this in Ecuador.
Port of entry is my
Yes.
thing. Julio, I'm curious about you. I know you grew up in Tijuana, but have you been there your whole life?
Yeah.
You never left?
No. I've left. I spent most of my life in Tijuana, but I've lived in the Bay Area for 5 years where I went to school. Go Bears, UC Berkeley. And then I spent a couple years in South America, in Brazil, which were very, very transformative years for me in Brazil. And so a country that I miss a lot.
What was transformed?
Oh, my Lord. So where do I start? So just a nutshell is just I found another Mexico in South America. And in the sense of how we approach life, just the forwardness and the way that we view death and life, it's just so magical. I remember just being in these musical parties called chorinhos, in which basically it's just people in a circle, the musicians in a circle, and all they sing are just Brazilian songs dating back 50, 60 years. And these are just talking about the conditions about being Brazilian, being black, some being a part of mestizo, being liberated from slavery, or being part of being oppressed by the dictadura, the dictatorship there. And the affirmation of life there, and just the moment in my life that I was going through some deep, deep, deep-seated existential funk. I was completely souped out of that. And I became to again, it was a reset for me. And so the friendships I made there, the people who I loved there, the people who I left there, are people who are still with me, in the sense, very, very deeply. I mean, even though I don't get to talk to them as much, it's just they are a part of me in that very, very sense. And so Brazil was very, very transformative in that sense. And I'm sure everybody has a little Brazil in their life, But that was mine.
That's beautiful.
Why don't we go to a break?
Okay, yeah, go to the break.
Let's go to a break.
Now on The Finest, we examine an icon. Our Lady of Guadalupe has been a powerful symbol for 500 years, and artists have reimagined her as a source of resilience and pride. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back.
I'm sure having grown up in Tijuana, like you said, you get so used to the border and crossing, it becomes such a normal part of life that people that aren't from here, they come here and it's like, whoa, this is a weird experience. Did your relationship to the border and to this wild place, Tijuana, did it change when you left? Or how did it change?
Wherever you go, you take home with you. And I think you and I maybe stand at odds with this in this idea because of how maybe the ideas that we share. Because I like the way that you talk about Tijuana and how optimistic and how affirming it is. But the vision that I have of Tijuana is also one hopeful, but I have also a very bleak picture, And so it's hard for me to ignore the stuff that I grew up with during my formative years, listening to the things I listened to, the news, seeing the things that I saw, finding things about friends who basically did not live to tell this. And so you take that with you wherever you go. And so it's, when you go, say, when you're in South America or whatever, other parts, people who know Mano Chao, I'm like, yeah, of course. So people know you. They automatically think you have a cool factor. I'm not going to lie. So you're from Tijuana, and that's pretty, I like that. But I kind of connect with folks who live in this other in-between spaces. And so, for instance, when I was in Brazil, folks who were migrating from Spain, or folks that were commuting all the way from, say, 2 hours away from the main parts of the city, in, say, Morumbi, like it was sometimes, or past Morumbi, which is, it's un barrio super, is it Morumbi? I can't remember what the names. But yeah, people who would commute for work and all that, because I remember doing those sorts of commutes when I was hustling or working. And so, yeah, you take that with you in that perspective wherever you go. And so it shines a different light to your life experiences, having sorts of contrasts. Did I answer your question, by the way?
Yeah. I'm curious if leaving Tijuana you had such like a bleak views about it. Maybe I'm sure, and I think we've talked about it. They've also evolved over time, and Tijuana has dark and light. It has it all.
Absolutely, yeah.
What brought you back to Tijuana?
Unfortunately, what brought me back was my mom got really sick, and so I came back. I left a relationship. I left a business over there. I got a call from my dad saying, "Hey, your mom's not doing too well. Somebody needs to take care of her, and we all have 9 to 5s. And I think you can do well. I used to teach English over there, and so I had my own clients and all that, and so I could do that via Zoom. You know? And so I told all my clients, "Hey, this is happening." Obviously, some of them didn't like it because they wanted you to be there, and so you just had to let them go. So yes, that brought me back. So I did not want to come back from Brazil. I wanted to stay there. I wanted to create a life over there. I wanted to have kids over there.
Oh, you were committed.
I was committed to staying there. Yeah, absolutely. And so it just so happened that life called me back, and so I did. I came back.
And has your views, relationships to Tijuana, and the like your commitment to it, I guess, changed since you've been here?
Absolutely, especially in working with you guys and working with the homies from Transfronterizo Futures. Shout out to Transfronterizo Futures. So yes, so I've been active in the community, trying to create spaces for folks who across the border, and through my specialty, which is media production, film, and all that. So trying to tell these stories, and so yes, so where I meet you is this trying to portray Tijuana in its best light, even though it has a bleak history, a bleak reality. Trying to push the best stories forward, because this is a city where we have tremendous joy and tremendous will to be better and push forward, which is not necessarily unique to Tijuana, but the way it gets done is what's unique. I think, what's her name? Banca?
The artist?
The artist, yeah.
Oh, Tijuana's where the wave crashes.
It's where the wave crashes, yeah. And it's such a way to put it, because it's very poetic. It's this little Ellis Island of people from different parts of the world, with people bringing their culture and bring their necessities in life and bring this will to just to be better and move forward. And so you can't stop the wind. You can't stop the waves. You can't stop people in trying to better their lives. So as we see caravan behind caravan trying to get to a better life. And so I've become appreciative of that reality, and wherever I can help, I try to help in that sense. Try to make a better city in a sense.
And you are doing that. I mean, telling all these stories is like you are doing so important stuff for the city and for a lot of people. So yeah,
we are doing
that.
We're doing
yeah.
So,
yeah, man. I think it's very important work. I know this is a story about you guys, but I just have to reflect on what you were just saying, because like I've had this conversation with so many people about how sometimes people take my optimism about Tijuana to like deny the dark stuff that happens in that city, and it's not that at all. I think the reason I feel so strongly and passionately about it is that it's Tijuana's like a concentrated version of the whole world. It's like there's so much energy, like where the wave crashes, right? Tijuana is just everything that happens in the world. Life is bleak, right? Like dark, violent stuff happens all over life the whole time. You see it on the news, where the news focuses. There's a whole thing like if it bleeds, it leads, where like they only portray really negative stuff around the world. Tijuana just happens to be a super concentrated version of that, where like you only focus on the dark, and that's how it's been for 20, 30 years. And just like that, Tijuana also has the whole opposite side of like it has so much beauty and love and power and like people really seeking opportunity. So the reason I'm so adamant and like committed to focusing on that is because I think it puts the power back in our choice, and how we portray things and how we talk about things has really a big capacity to shift reality and shift the reality of a place, not only in Tijuana, in the whole world, but Tijuana just so happens to be a place I call home, and it's like such a concentrated version of that it's not about like overlooking the bleakness. It's more of like we do get to choose how we channel what's happening.
Yeah. Absolutely. Alan for president.
Go, Alan.
I'm also really proud of what we're doing here. It's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool.
And also, I'm proud of doing these episodes in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Natali,
amazing.
how have you felt about doing these episodes in Spanish?
Oh, man. I love it. Honestly, I feel like I've been saying this my whole life. I don't feel completely like myself when I'm speaking in English. I know I am myself, and I know like you can take another side of my personality in English, but to feel truly genuine and fluent and like I can just say whatever I'm thinking, I have to do it in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And I'm always going to say this. I'm smarter in Spanish. I'm way funnier in Spanish. I'm more genuine and more, I don't know, I have more light in me if I'm speaking in Spanish. So when we decided to do this, when Julio came up with the idea, I was like, I'm going to freaking shine, man. I'm going to freaking shine because it's my native language and my parents are going to be able to listen to it finally. And I'm going to be able to show you who I really am, like, speaking my native language. No. Entonces, sorry, we're doing this in English. Sorry. It's been beautiful to be able also to give the interviewees an opportunity to choose whether they want to whether they want to do the interview in Spanish or in English. Because sometimes they just feel more, like me, they feel more comfortable speaking in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing a lot of interviews in Spanish because they just want to do it like that. Yeah, and I think, we're in a border region and we're speaking two languages. Like having that option, I don't know why it's happening. Like this should have happened like a bunch of years ago. And it's happening now. And I'm happy that it's happening now. But I don't know. It's changing my life, and it's making me feel more committed to the podcast too, because I feel like
you take ownership.
Yeah. I feel more connected to it. Not that I didn't feel connected before, but like I said, it's my native language, and it's just like I can just naturally. ¿Cómo se dice fluir? Like
flow.
Like I can just naturally flow.
Like be yourself.
For those who for our English audience, and given how much carpooling we've done and how much shit talking we've done, you and me and Natali in Spanish, it's just you have no idea how funny Natali is, and she's a talented actress, and she's got the chops for the stand-up comedian. Oh my Lord, she's just
highly recommend y'all learn how to speak Spanish just for that.
Yes.
Good motivation.
Yeah. Good motivation. Yeah, I just feel like we can't. How can this be truly a podcast about the border?
Yeah.
Without doing it in both languages, it's like it's not. It feels like half authentic. Yeah. It's like we gotta be able to. If half the audience can't listen to this show, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I was actually looking at the numbers, and basically, the numbers in Spanish are matching the numbers.
That's right.
And so only one episode has surpassed them. The X's episode has surpassed them in Spanish.
More Spanish.
More Spanish by five clicks.
Okay.
And that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. Nobody expected that.
That's my mom, Natali's mom.
My grandma.
And so remember when I was talking to Lisa, our manager, supervisor, and the folks from the communications department about a possible goal. I'm like, what's a possible goal? I don't want to be outlandish and say, oh, it's going to be the same. But I kind of I knew deep inside it was going to be close. But I just want to be conservative and say, hey, maybe like a third or a fourth of the viewership. Yeah, but it's basically neck to neck. Closely neck to neck, just like by a hair. It's like if one episode gets 6,000.
That's awesome.
Round of applause for Spanish.
if one Labadee has about around close to 7,000 in English, and I think, and on Spanish is about 6,500.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Keep listening to those Spanish.
Yeah, thank you so much. Muchas gracias a los escuchas españoles. Yeah.
Un shout out.
Shout out to the Spanish listeners. Yeah. Shout out to the Spanish listeners. Yeah.
Man, it's beautiful. So happy.
Yeah. Anybody have any other questions?
Oh man, Luca, we're gonna miss you so much.
No, I'm gonna miss you too, guys.
Yeah,
really.
I feel like we found the perfect match, the perfect team. And you're doing this to us?
I hope they let you work remote forever.
Yeah.
I hope so, yeah.
Because might as well. You got the flavor of the show.
Yeah.
Plus, you can probably fly out here and there, at least a couple times a year.
And I haven't killed Julio. Yeah.
Right. The
Yeah.
patience. That's like that should be what? Come on.
So, yeah.
How have we not
That's-
talked about that? Yes. Patience needs a
I'm
word.
not gonna lie. I'm hard to work with. I'm very, how do you say, very demanding of my team. Very, I'm a perfectionist or overthinker to a fault. Alan, Alan remembers that very, very clearly.
I can relate. So that's why I don't get mad, and I also have the patience because in other contexts this is family, and I consider you a brother because I get it.
Thank you.
I get it when I'm making music with ask Amari. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I've learned how to tame it, but I know what it is to want things to be great. So that's why we're still here and we support it. And when you ask me to do 1 million takes, I'm like, I don't want to, but I will because I get it. I understand what we need to do to make this a great show.
Yeah, I remember that time. Your eyes were bulging. I could see the vein.
Porque a veces te pasas, güey. La neta, as much as I say that, sometimes it's a little over the top.
Yes.
It's say but again, but put the emphasis on the you. But,
sometimes it's
No, but
stupid stuff like that.
if it's anything, I mean, just Luca.
A little less
how many times?
on the butt.
How bad am I on myself?
You want to see his?
It was 6 hours.
His
6 hours.
sessions.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and I feel so sorry for Luca to edit everything.
I had 300 markers, where to
Luca
cut.
wanted to kill me when I hosted because I was just trying to make sure the pitch was right, everything was right, and then oh my god, and just But anyways, we did it.
But that was fun. Yeah,
But we did. It
that
was fun.
we did it
No,
live.
but
We got through it.
We did it live.
We all joking aside, you're difficult to work with sometimes, but I think we all
I love you
balance
too.
each
I
other
love
in
you too,
this
Natalie.
team, you know? What?
I love you too, Natalie.
I love you too. We balance each other in this team, and also ever since you started, I feel like Alan and I are siempre hemos fluido, but we're doing way more natural than before, and we're more connected.
I think it's we're way more encouraged to flow as ourselves rather than just Julio makes a lot of space for us to just play.
Yeah.
Which is super, super nice.
Yeah, guys, it's important that you guys enter center stage and your true selves shines. And so I'm very, very committed to that. And also to get the staff behind the scenes involved as much as, even if it's me, if it's Luca, to partake in the storytelling. And so, and always to me, storytelling is having a personal stake in what you're doing. And so sometimes about, hey, I need you to open up in this part, think of reach in here, do this. So yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. Shout out listeners. Thank you all for letting us do what we do.
Yes.
Yeah. And keep those donations coming, folks. Thank you so much. You make this possible. Thank you to the donors.
Thank you to
the members.
We love it, but we need to get paid.
Yes. Thank you guys make this possible. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We appreciate you. We love you. And you make all this content available in 2 different languages. So, guys, folks.
KPBS.org/donate.
This episode of Port of Entry was written and produced by Julio César Ortiz Franco.
Luca Vega is technical producer and sound designer.
Adrián Villalobos is media production specialist.
Elisa Barba is our editor.
Lisa Morissette is director of audio programming and operations. And John Decker is senior director of content development.
This program is made possible in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
This project was also made possible with support from California Humanities, a nonprofit partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Visit callhome.org.
Soy Alan Lilienthal.
Y yo soy Natali Gonzalez.
Nos vemos pronto.
Now on The Finest, we examine an icon. Our Lady of Guadalupe has been a powerful symbol for 500 years, and artists have reimagined her as a source of resilience and pride. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.